Just do a little double check. That's great. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so let's just start with a few moves from the beginnings of Shibashi. Set one. These are nice. If you're not feeling 100%, these are nice movements that you can do seated or standing, and you can just intersperse them throughout your day. And again, we have our familiar start with Qi Shi. Always a good base to start from, just to see if we can bring some settling, or Chen as it's called, to things. Try to just have a sense that the hands almost float. Not too airy, but there's a sense of buoyancy. And then just segue straight away into opening our hearts, or opening the arms, or opening the chest as it gets called, and closing. But again, let's see if we can have this sense of buoyancy in the hands and arms. Try not to make sure that they stay just sort of below shoulder height. Not too high. Again, that can be helpful. Nice, easy movements to get us going. Okay, and let's go up overhead, or as far as you feel comfortable doing so. And just down. Very simple. Symmetrical movements, easy to remember. So that kind of takes the cognitive load down a notch. Do this one more time, and then we're going to change. We're going to go into parting clouds. Let me come a little bit closer. Cross the hands up in front of the heart. Linger for a moment, then turn, then open up. And if I come back, little finger edge now. It's little finger edge leading down. And then cross the opposite hand, just over the heart for a moment. Turn, open up. Little finger edge on the down. These little details about how hands are moving in space are kind of important in these Chinese arts that we practice, Tai Chi, Qigong. So when we emphasize a little finger edge, for instance, Chinese medicine would suggest that we're emphasizing the heart. So that might be something that you have in mind as we do so. Okay. Just have a little shake and a move. That kind of gets us into the spirit of things. Let's warm our hands up and try and do something for Kate to see if it brings at least a little bit of relief. Okay, so I'm going to give you some acupressure points that you can easily utilize at home, but it's nice to warm the hands up, just making circles. See if we can get a little bit of heat in there. So I'm going to give you a few points on the face, and then a few points on the back of the neck. Okay, so it's not normally what we do, but I think, why not? It's kind of part of the kind of whole system or culture from which these arts spring from. So we're going to take, we've got thumbs, index fingers, and middle fingers. Okay, let me come up close. And we're going to, now that looks rude, but it's not. I'm going to place my middle fingers right adjacent to my nose, my index fingers on the little kind of notch that you'll find in that upper cheekbone. And then my thumbs kind of come under my chin, just at the front and just support. And these points are called facial beauty points, as you can tell when you look at my face. I do this often. Thanks, Kate. But they're also useful for when we've got bunged up sinuses and we're just feeling a bit grotty. And you don't have to press. You can just place those finger pads where they are. And you might have a little smile. And just breathe with that. It's as simple as that. Now you might get some relief. I don't know. But it's been used a long time, these little points, to kind of help with that kind of bunged up sort of feeling that we can sometimes get. Okay, so after what, 30 seconds or a little bit more, we can take those away. Now we're just going to use index finger and middle finger pads, and I'm going to turn around, and you're going to find the little depression at the base of a hairline, and you're going to put your little finger pads just in there. No pressing, just gently place them there and just make little circles. I'm going to turn back to the camera, so I'm just making little gentle circles. This acupressure point sits on what's called the gallbladder meridian in Chinese medicine. Gallbladder 20, if I remember rightly, from my time studying. But its traditional name is called the wind pool, like a pool of water, so wind pool. The Chinese sort of traditionally say that we ought to protect this in cold weather, which makes perfectly good sense. Hats and scarves to protect our neck. So this is another point that can help when we feel grotty in our heads. That's a descriptor that I hope you associate with. Okay, so after we've done that for 30 seconds, I'm going to turn around and we're going to push those finger pads a bit closer, and they sit on the big, thick, muscly bands. They're not quite touching at the fingertips, but they're not far away. And now we're on bladder 10, which is another point at the base of a skull on the hairline. You can do those little circles if you wish. And again, this is another set of points that can help clear the sinuses above the eyes, around the eyebrows. We've got a number of sinuses in the skull, and those ones can really get blocked up and give you a really unpleasant sinus headache. And these have traditionally been used to help in that respect. So there you go. Sometimes they're called welcome breath points. So that's another way. But they're quite relaxing, I hope. Okay, relax. So you kind of tell me at the end what you thought of that. Did it kind of help a bit? Did you kind of notice anything? Or is it all just the power of suggestion? Maybe, we don't know. Is that such a bad thing? I don't know. Okay, let's do some movements. And a nice one, again, when we're not feeling all that well, is to do squeezing of the hands into light fists and then just letting them fall away. And really emphasize the fall and the letting go. Could be with a breath in, because it just fits nicely with the lift as well. So we've explored the breathing a little bit, and then just letting go with a very relaxed out breath. Let's do that again. You can almost imagine that out breath being a little bit like a sigh, which is a kind of qualitative description of that sense of letting go. This time the palms turn forward and fall again, down and away. We're trying to have this sense of sung, this quality of letting go tension, letting go anything physically, mentally, emotionally that's stressing us or challenging us. So again, that breath in can help, and then that breath out can be the release. This time, we're going to take the hands and turn them outwards and do a gentle press. And then back in. If we were thinking about this from a more orthodox, traditional medicine perspective, physiology and anatomy, we're basically targeting 3 different nerve channels in the arms with these different hand positions. Let's do that one more time. And then the last little set is just to imagine that we catch a ball and you can just hold it for a moment, then let it go. And then go up, come up for a squeeze. And then once again, catch an imaginary ball, then let it go. Come up for a squeeze, maybe with a breath in. Catch that ball as you're breathing out, and then just let everything go on the final one. Let's do one more. Final one. Excellent. Sometimes we need to get some heat generated, and we can't necessarily go out for a brisk walk, especially in this weather, or anything like that. But sometimes we can use simple Qigong or Daoyin movements combined with our breath to see if we can generate a little bit of heat. 4 directions is a really good one. Again, it's a nice symmetrical balanced set of movements, but we can kind of grade how much intensity we put into this. So let's just start off. First of all, just getting familiar. If you're standing up with me, try and have a kind of wider stance, feel as though you're a bit braced, and we're going to be pushing forwards first of all. So let's just lift the hands up, turn them around in front of the shoulders, and let's just imagine a light door as we push that door. And then we relax completely. We're going to pick the hands up, and this time we're pushing out to the sides, left and right. And again, lightly. There's a little bit of resistance, but we're not putting too much emphasis in that respect just yet. As we pick the hands up, get ready to push overhead. So this time, the sky or the ceiling, or pushing something up overhead into a cupboard might prove helpful. Hands come down. And then we press down towards the earth. Again, gentle resistance, pushing down like so. Okay. Just have a little move if you need to, again, because we've been in that static position, and then kind of resettle yourself. So we're going to go again with those movements, but now use some imagery to imagine that whatever you're pushing in whatever direction just requires a bit more from you. Again, you can grade this. You don't have to do too much, but have a sense now that there's more resistance. So let's start from the beginning. We're still just focusing on the movement. So I think of a annoying heavy plate glass door that you encounter in day-to-day life, and you have to push to get it open. And then I'm pushing the 2 walls apart. I picture myself in a film where I've got to push the walls apart that are closing in. Push. And then overhead, pushing up against the ceiling that's coming down. Push. And then finally, I'm pushing down on a lid of a box to close it that's over full. I've got to push down. Again, that's just what I think. You might have other imagery. Okay, third and final time. We can do this with a breath if you wish, okay? So it's a big breath in as we're bringing the hands into place, and then it's a forceful or more forceful breath as we push out. It's quite intuitive, I think. Shall we have a go? If at any point where you begin to think, oh, I can't do all this breathing and pushing, again, just focus on the movement. Again, that's the main thing. Here we go. So, if you wish, big breath in. Get ready, and then breathe out a little bit forcefully. You might hear that breath being pushed out as you push as well. And then just relax, really relax. Let everything go. Get ready for the next in breath. Out to the sides, and again, push, push, push with that breath as you push into the palms, either side. Excellent. And then again, total relaxation. Let everything go. Just breathe naturally. Get ready to go overhead with our next big in-breath. And push, push, push down through the legs as well. Push up. And then we get to relax a long way down. Let the hands fall all the way. Big breath in as we bring the hands up and ready for our final push down. Push, push, push. Breathing out. Here we go. So for some people, that can really generate some heat. In fact, I've got quite hot. I'm going to take my top off. Not necessarily everyone, but again, it's excuse me as I get that top off. It can be a nice, useful movement for that purpose, and it's a little bit different from some of the movements that we're more familiar with. So I'm going to join people who are seated. Again, if you're still standing, please do. And we'll continue a little bit further into some of the Shibashi set one. So getting some rotation in, as you know, is really important in day-to-day life. So let's start off with casting our cares away. I've got my right hand here, and I'm casting off to the left, keeping the arm nice and long as I do so, and then taking the left and casting off to the right. And I'm just doing this nice and easy. Just getting used to the movement. But again, if you wish, you could have a breath in as you lift the arm, and then just let the breath go as we cast in each respective direction. So if that feels good for you, then do so. You can also cast off your cares, as the name suggests, and maybe have a list of cares that you're going to cast away. Off we go. I'm going to do one more on each side. And then we'll gaze at the moon. It's up and above and slightly behind us. And we're going to turn. Start off nice and reasonably at first. Don't get too enthusiastic. But once you feel confident with the movement, again, if you're standing, you can really get the hands and arms swinging into this as well. But just be mindful of your balance. So I'm sweeping the hands up to the right and behind if possible, looking up at the same time, and then down and up to the left. And again, I'm starting off very gently. Not really any focus on the breath in this one, because it's such a dynamic movement. So we're just going with the flow. But as you begin to get confident with your balance, you get a good feel for how the trunk is having to work. You can really let the arms swing. Certainly in China, this is a vigorous exercise. So again, If you wish to put some oomph into it, feel free. I'm going to do one more to each side. And then rest. Oof, there we go. Lots going on. Okay. Let's tone it down a little bit, but still keep with this idea of pushing and a little bit of rotation. More focused in the shoulders and the thoracic spine. We've got pushing palms, very simple. Both palms face up as if holding 2 bowls of soup. I'm going to tip my right hand bowl and then look to the left and push across my body, like so. And then draw that hand back as if bringing back a fresh ball, tipping my left hand and pushing across the body to the right. And then bringing a new bowl back as we do so. I'm just alternating from one side and to the other. We get a nice stretch through the shoulders. That can be really useful, especially if we've been sat down. And just alternate, looking in the direction in which we push. That helps lead the movement. And again, I'm just breathing comfortably, focusing on the movement, pushing through. Okay. Last one for me. Don't worry if we're out of sync. Doesn't matter. We come back. Okay. Good stuff. So, we'll do a little bit of little variations on plucking stars from the sky. We'll build it up as a little progression. I'll continue to do it seated again. If you're standing, we're just stood in place. If we can, if you stood up, you're placing your hands behind you, resting on your hips or on the pelvis at the back. If we're sat down, depends on armrests. You might be able to have your hands hanging loosely by the sides or resting on the knees. I'll let you decide. I'll start with my hands at the sides. I'm looking to the right hand as it lifts up overhead, and I follow with the head. And then I just bring down some stars. And it's as much about the head movement as it is about the arm movement. And then left hand coming up. So if you were stood up, you'll replace that right hand where it came from and release the left hand to come up. And then down. Just like so. Back where they came from. Full circle this time with the right hand. So it's going to come up overhead. But then I'm turning my shoulders. You can turn your hips if you stood up and bringing that hand down on the left side and then around the hips or just over the knees back to where it came from. Here we go with the left hand, full circle. So that means I'm going to be turning to my right. Make space for the shoulder and that hand to come down and around. Good job. Third progression. I'm picking up the right hand, this time just up to the top. And then I'm pushing. So again, we've got this push through the palm. And as I do so, I look down behind me to my left and we get a stretch through the right side of the torso. And then gently, gently relax and unwind and let the right hand fall away. And then we do the same on the left side. So again, Left hand comes up overhead, and then we're pushing overhead, but this time I'm looking down and behind to my right. And again, I get a big stretch through the torso on that left side. Unwind gently, lower the arm, and relax. So that's a nice progression of plucking stars from the sky, ending up with, again, a little bit more intensity. All these movements within the Chinese cultural arts have these gradations or scale abilities of intensity, from very benign and easy to really quite hard work in some versions. But again, we can grade ourselves within that depending on how we want to explore those movements. Okay, keeping an eye on time. Let's finish off, shall we? I'm going to try and see if we can bring a little bit of sunshine into a bit of a grey day. Certainly here in Yorkshire, it's been snowing and sleeting and grey. So give me a wave with your right hand. Place that on your solar plexus. So that's the soft squidgy bit right below your rib cage. You might have to have a little bit of a feel around, but it's that soft squidgy bit just below the rib cage. Your left hand sits just below your navel, so I call that our lap, or just in the lower abdomen. So that's our hand position. Some of you have done this with me before may already get the idea that this hand position is associated with sunny days, warm sunny days. It's kind of apt that it's called the solar plexus. So if you wish, let me invite you to maybe rest your eyes and begin to picture a scene, maybe somewhere where you've been in the world or experienced perfect blue skies, warm sunshine, not too hot, and just that, lovely kind of sensation of being in that warm, sunny light that you get. Not all that often in the UK, but just kind of breathe in the sights, the sounds, the sensations of maybe that place where you've been, where you've had just glorious sunshine, and your skin feels warm, everything feels comfortable, and you just feel so much more relaxed. And sometimes it's the very reason why we go abroad for holidays, to get that experience. But here, I'm giving you the opportunity to take a little holiday using the power of your imagination. And just breathe it in. And you can sustain that for as long as you wish. We're just going to do it for a few moments. And you might find that the mind begins to wander in any case, and that's often a good cue to kind of, okay, we'll bring things to a close. So just removing the hands, which are just physical cues, is a jolly good way of kind of just bringing that exercise, or technically it's a meditation. I'm not sure. You can tell me what you think about that word, because sometimes people get a little bit sensitive about those kinds of things. But traditionally, it would have been called a meditation. Maybe not in the way that some people think, but it is. So there you go. I hope that's been an enjoyable session, maybe a little bit different in some parts, and I hope maybe some of those acupressure points have maybe helped a little bit. Let me stop the recording. If you want to give me any feedback or ask any questions, I've got a few moments at the end. Let me know. Let me just bring the recording to a halt.